All right. Album 471 on the top 500 greatest albums of all time comes to us from Jefferson Airplane. It is their album Surrealistic Pillow. This album was released on February 1st, 1967, out of Hollywood, California. It's 33 minutes and 40 seconds long on RCA Records. It's the second studio album by the band Jefferson Airplane, which, as I think, Kyle, you probably know, goes on to evolve a little bit
Mm-hmm.
as they're a band. Um, did you think of this one?
Hey, it's Kyle. Just jumping in real quick to ask, do you approve this groove? Let us know in the comments. Give us a quick thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation.
The first thing that struck me is the coincidence of this album coming out the same year as the Kinks album from earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and how different they are. I mean, clearly, obviously, they're different. They're not the same genre of music. This is definitely more of the psychedelic, like the psychedelic 60s that you think of. And there are definitely some incredibly well-known songs on this album. Somebody to Love, White Rabbit, like these the songs that people absolutely know. And so when I started listening to this and I was thinking about how it came out at the same time, this same year as that Kinks album, this didn't grab me the same way as that Kinks album.
Agreed.
And the one thing that I picked up on is, and I want to look more into this, and because I feel like it's something that I've noticed before, but I've only just now, as we've been listening to these albums, started to kind of piece it together, which is the transition in studio recording when they started making the switch to recording in stereo, which happened primarily in the 1960s when this was coming out. Because as I was listening to this album, I just was noticing how hard panned everything is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is just hard panned. And then you've got your bass and your vocals down the middle. And I wonder if it's first of all a lack of technology, a lack of technological ability to do more soft panning. I wonder if it was more of just like they could only hard pan things or like very significantly pan things one way or another, or if it was just like a, hey, this is a new thing and we're still trying to
Yeah.
figure this out. And this is how we're doing it.
I thought
It,
the latter.
yeah,
Like it to me. As I was listening to it, I thought like I could imagine a producer or these guys playing around with it in the studio and be like, "Whoa, this is cool!"
yeah,
And like you said, let's push it as far as we can go. And then you've got some of the vocals in the and when you think about the genre of psychedelic rock, like that kind of makes sense, right? We're gonna spin the vocals around from left to right,
yep,
and it's disorienting. And it's funny, you said before that you've never done cocaine. I've never smoked weed or anything either. So I can only imagine what it would feel like to like get stoned and listen to this. I mean, and White Rabbit is one that's a stereotypical low-hanging fruit for that sort of reference. But I can only imagine like what that would be like to be out of your mind and hear the stuff, especially at a time when it was kind of new.
yeah.
Like a total experience. I can only imagine that. But yeah, this is definitely one that I would say, if I did notice it a little bit, I think in my car speakers that I could track it. But if you've got a good set of headphones on and you listen to some of these songs, like I said, it will sound like she is flying around you
Yeah.
singing. I said before, like music that comes right from the center of your brain. This doesn't make you feel like that, but not due to lack of technicality or mixing. This is an intentional choice, like
Mm-hmm.
to disorient you. And the way that you visualize that for me makes total sense. I've always thought of it as like left and right, but the way you said like pushing it out to the edges, I
Yeah.
think is a better way to me of thinking about that.
Yeah.
Because again, sometimes it feels like it's coming from the front, which in my mind would say like, oh, well, then it's just mixed in the middle. But it doesn't feel like that. It
Right.
feels like it's way out in front of you.
So listening to this album makes me wish that I could listen to it in 1967 because
Yeah.
it's, I bet it was incredibly interesting and groundbreaking and new to experience something like this in stereo for the first time.
Here's
That
a reference for you.
it makes me wonder, like, what do we have anything like this today?
Here's a reference, not to the point where I think it sounds so new due to this, but as you were talking, and I'm thinking, like what can I call upon that has that same feeling? And the first thing that came up was Incubus's "Just a Phase." They have that intro where that electric kind of sound, and that goes around
Yeah. Yeah.
before the song actually starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking that was cool when I was in high school and listening to that,
Yeah.
at the time, being like, oh, whoa, that's weird, and being able to follow it. So yeah,
I was just gonna say, I've said a couple of times tonight that I appreciate music that uses the space well, that makes it interesting to listen to, and this does that in a crude and rudimentary way, but it does that, and I can appreciate it for that.
yeah. We talked about it briefly, but I didn't know a lot about Jefferson Airplane other than the songs I'd heard. And the songs I'd heard had primarily been led by the female vocalist, Grace Slick. So I was surprised how many of the songs on this album, like, she didn't sing on, or she at least was not a prominent singer on them. And then you lay that over Somebody to Love and White Rabbit are the two, like, chart singles off this album. It peaked at number 5 and number 8 on the Billboard 100 chart, and they're the band's only top 40 hits on that chart. It was very top heavy to me, like those two songs, and I'll take that with a grain of salt because those are the songs I was most familiar with. So naturally, you're going to gravitate towards those. But as I listened to the others, I was like, yeah. As much as they said that number one album by Big Star could be a whole album singles, bullshit. Sorry, they're still catching strays. But this was one that I was like, yeah, those are the two singles. Like Somebody to Love and White Rabbit is even a weird single.
Yeah. Very unconventional.
I mean, that's going heavy into the psychedelic rock and counterculture stuff. Man, she can wail it.
Sure.
When she sings In Your Head at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, she can wail. Yeah. What'd you score this one?
I gave it a 3. It was fine. It was good. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it again, but I wouldn't shut it off if it was on.
I would shut off the other tracks, but I mean, I'm gonna hear Somebody to Love and White Rabbit for as long as I live, and I won't skip those. So yeah, I gave this one a 3. This is okay. Some songs that I would seek out again, but yeah, it was all right. That was Surrealistic Pillow from Jefferson Airplane at 471.
Hey, thanks for watching. We'd love to know what you think of this album, so let us know in the comments. Do you approve this groove? And as always, a quick thumbs up helps a lot. Subscribe so you can see all 500 albums, and we'll see you on the next record.